Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers to Solar Wave Golden IPA on a gray, rainy day. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Bad Weather Brewing Company, Chop Brew. This is part 2 of the Solar Wave Golden IPA tasting notes. We are with, you gotta say your name.
Oh, Andy Rowland.
And you. Who else is here?
Brian Adams.
Joe Greenfield.
Yeah, man. Andy, what are you?
I'm the head brewer here at Bad Weather Brewery in St. Paul.
That's right. And about a month ago, we came to collaborate, also known as sit around and watch a beer get brewed and eat spaghetti and ice cream cake.
I hauled some grain.
Well, that's true.
Yep.
I'm always the one not working. I'm like, oh, someone's got to run this camera. I can't scoop spent grain. So we were here about a month ago. We brewed this beer. It went on tap February 9th. Today, for the record, is February 20th. So this beer is like a month and a couple of days old.
Yeah, I guess from the brew day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I guess it's been on tap now for what, almost 2 weeks, I guess.
We're doing some tasting notes. So it's had a little time. We're not drinking it the day it was tapped. So it's had a little time to kind of mellow. You guys probably remember the last episode we saw it getting brewed. Andy was nice enough to share a homebrew scale version of the recipe, which I've seen through the analytics of the website that certain people have been going and printing it and brewing it, hopefully. Let's just talk about your impressions of the beer. If you don't know what went in it, it's like super quick what went into the beer, malt and hop wise.
Yeah, the beer is a golden IPA, pretty basic recipe, some 2-row base malt, Pilsner malt, and a little bit of Gambrinus honey malt. And the hop bill is Chinook and Idaho 7 is the prominent hop here. Those were donated by our friends down at BSG in Shakopee. American ale yeast that's our house strain here, and that was kind of the quick gist of the recipe. This beer, it already is one of our favorites here amongst the staff and the brewers. The Idaho 7 hop we had never used before, and I really like. It has some unique characteristics. It's pretty prominent in the kind of tangerine, papaya, grapefruit character, but it also has this really interesting black tea character. It's in the descriptors when we were looking at it from BSG, and it's there not as a prominent component of the beer itself, but it is there both in flavor and aroma. So you get a lot of tangerine, grapefruit notes. It has a nice bitterness to it. Malt character is kind of the secondary. I would say maybe a kind of a sweetness from the honey malt, but not too much, and kind of almost a crackery malt character with the malt itself. So.
It's very dry.
Yep, It did dry out quite a bit, and then I like the thing I like about honey malt is you can get. It's not like a sweetness. Like on the mouthfeel almost, but it's more of like a flavor. Not like you have a beer that's relatively under attenuated. Right. It's more of a like a malt flavor sweetness than opposed to like a mouthfeel. Oh, yeah. When we first dry hopped it, the second day I tasted it, and it was heavy black tea on the nose. I mean, that was all I got. But after a couple days, and then when we did another charge of dry hops, it kind of mellowed out into more of that the tropical notes for sure. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was kind of interesting to see that hop kind of go through some ebbs and flows in the tank after we dry hopped it.
Yeah, you can for sure smell the tangerine, and then you got that hidden. There's a hidden something there that
it's super tropical right away.
That tea is in there.
Yeah,
mango.
Yep.
And it's brilliantly clear. I mean, it's filtered to an almost crystal perfection. So instead of being like a Northeast IPA, this would be the polar opposite, kind of like a Southwest
non-Northeast IPA.
Or New England. This is the Southern Cal. No.
Yeah.
What was your idea there? Is that just because that's how you treat most beers in-house, or were you kind of trying to poke the hazy IPAs in the eye a little bit?
Not necessarily. Me personally, I do like bright beer when it's fitting for the style or just preference, but I did want this to be pretty bright, and we use the filter sheets we use. Even though it's a fairly coarse sheet, it still gives us really bright beer, so we're not stripping too much of the character out of the beer, which you can do if you're filtering really fine. But we use really coarse sheets, but we still get nice bright beer. Presents well. I like bright beer, so I'm not going to go and filter a Hefeweizen, but for the most part, we do filter most of our beers. So.
Do you think you brewing this has anything to do with like record-breaking heat 2 weeks later all across Minnesota?
I don't know.
We brewed a solar wave, and all of a sudden, like, winter just broke down and fell apart.
That was kind of weird. We were thinking about this, like, man, we want to brew it again, and it would be a great beer for the summertime. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know if it was just the last weekend it was busy here, and this was a great beer for people to be drinking on a hot day.
Excellent backyard
60 degrees
beer,
in February. It's that's crazy.
Puxatawny filling got on Solar Wave.
That's good. And what's the alcohol content?
5.4.
5.4.
Yep.
Just on that lower end of
Lower
the IPA, right?
Yep.
For you style nerds.
Yep. 5.4%, 65 IBUs.
Yeah. If people were to brew this at home, clearly they may not have the filter power. What would you expect might be slightly different on a fairly intermediate homebrew scale?
I think depending on how you dry hop the beer, you might get a little bit more hop character, maybe a little more of a, you could get some grassy notes depending on how your process is at home if you're not filtering your beer. You could cold crash for longer if you want it to be a little bright. You could fine it if you are a fan of finings, but if you're not gonna do anything to it, I think you would get a little more of a hop flavor, maybe some of that kind of grassy notes, but not too much. The recipe that we did, I kind of scaled the profile for more of a 5-gallon batch. The dry hopping is a little bit scaled back if you just kind of do the figures from what we did, but yeah, you'll get a little bit of haze obviously, but I think for the most part it'll be pretty similar characteristics from what we got here.
Like I was mentioned earlier, I asked you what you compare the hop to, the Idaho 7. Is that in the recipe, or did you for the homebrew?
It is. Yep, it's the exact same. The recipe is same malt bill, same hops that we use. So it's Idaho 7, and then Chinook was the other hop we used.
If Idaho 7 is not available,
what should we suggest?
recommend? I know you mentioned Mosaic.
Mosaic, I think, would be a good alternative to bring out that tropical note. The black tea, I've never heard of that in the hop before.
Yeah.
Maybe some black tea.
Yeah, I mean, it's very small.
Secondary.
Yeah, very small amount. You could maybe pull that out a little bit. But I would say, yeah, if you can't get the Idaho 7, Chinook and I think Mosaic would be a little bit heavier on the Chinook and then Mosaic, because Mosaic's pretty
Lighter on the
potent.
Mosaic, yeah.
Yeah,
I can see that.
as a secondary feature.
Yeah, do you feel the Idaho 7 with anytime you hear of a new hop that you never heard of before, you just assume it's going to be over the top fireworks, but do you feel like even at the alpha, it's subdued in its character and in its influence? Or do you actually feel like this is pretty prominent, but just balanced?
I think it's pretty well balanced. It would be fun to try this beer as a smash or just a single hop IPA, just to get all of the characters from the hop. I think because we have a fair amount of Chinook, and I wanted to kind of accentuate some of the grapefruit notes from this hop, to maybe pull that out with the Chinook as well. It would be cool to see. I think if we do brew it again, I might adjust the dry hop schedule to be just all Idaho 7 on the cold side. The Chinooks are nice because we use those for kind of a bittering component in the kettle. It's well prominent, but it would be cool to maybe do some tweaks to maybe bring out more of the Idaho 7 itself.
Yeah. Because this was the first time you brewed with it, and you kind of just went all in, but you wanted to blend it with things that you were familiar with at the same time.
Yeah.
And you were saying you don't know a whole lot about the public reaction beyond Untapped and internet, because you're not necessarily behind the bar a whole lot.
Yeah, I do know. I think the weather this past weekend helps, obviously, but
Bad weather.
It has gone over pretty
Good
well.
bad weather.
Yeah,
Good bad weather.
yeah, good bad weather.
60 degrees in mid-February.
But just from what we as a staff think about this beer, we love it. It's one of our favorite beers we've done. We already are talking about getting it into the schedule for a summertime release. So,
Cool.
Because we want to do it again. We really liked how it turned out. It's a light enough beer where you can enjoy a few of them and you don't get kind of It's not too much for an IPA. For people that like hoppy beers, you can have a few. It's more of a bright hop flavor and aroma. It's not, and the alcohol kind of comes down, and it's nice and sessionable for a few.
Yeah.
So if you want to brew your own Solar Wave Golden IPA, Andy and the crew here were nice enough to supply that 5-gallon recipe. That's at chopandbrew.com/recipes. Get your booty down to Bad Weather Brewing Company tap room in lovely St. Paul before maybe mid-March if you want to?
I'd say mid-March, maybe late March. You'd probably be getting close to being gone, and then look for it again sometime this summer for sure.
Ooh, you heard it here, folks. And then if you're coming to HomebrewCon in June, maybe we should line it up to where. What if we do a Pro-Am flight tasting party? Oh man.
That's that.
Either way, if the beer's on or not in June here, consider swinging by and dropping off a couple bottles. Dry hop it a little different, use a different yeast. I don't know, just experiment and give Andy a little shout out bottle if he's around, or they've got plenty of fridge space here too. They'll hold it for you. So yeah, until then, chop for chop, brew for brew. Oh. I'm empty, y'all.
It's my birthday.
So we got this cake for him, but it's not his birthday. I got two conversations confused. One about HomebrewCon, and one about this thing. And he was like, "This is gonna be so sweet. It's my birthday and all this." I was like, "That's crazy. Last time we were at Bad Weather, it was my birthday. Now it's your birthday." So I have a cake. It says "Happy Badass Birthday."
Nice.
It's in your cooler. So I want to go on record saying that I am the first to wish Brian a happy birthday in 2017.
I need practice.
I'm so ahead of the curve. I'm going to be so busy and so broke by the time June comes that I just got it off my list nice and early. Man, look at that.
That's beautiful.
That's some ghetto. That's amazing that chair is perfectly heighted for my ghetto third leg. Filled with Kool-Aid. Your mama got a peg leg and it's filled with Kool-Aid. All right.
Puxatawny feeling got shit on Solar Wave.